Good morning. I'm Dan Thomas. I'm the Communication Director and the spokesperson for the President of the United Nations General Assembly. Thank you for attending this media stakeout following today's informal dialogue of the General Assembly. Please allow me to introduce Vuk Jeremić, the former President of the General Assembly, the 67th session, and the former Foreign Minister of the Republic of Serbia, which is nominated in as a candidate for the position of the next Secretary General of the United Nations. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. It's great to be back. Many familiar faces here. Happy to see you all. I've answered a question or two so far, but I am happy to take all your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jeremic. Maybe if you could say, what does someone as young as you are, because you're one of the young candidates, and what could you bring to this job that you think somebody who's much older, more experienced, would not be able to bring?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for continuing to call me young. People called me young a few years ago when I ran for president. When I was president of the General Assembly, people considered me even younger when I became foreign minister at the age of 32. And it's great to be called young again. It's a little depressing that I'm not the youngest candidate in this race. So this thing is starting. It's going to get probably worse and worse. But I do think that what is needed in this race is commitment and readiness to engage. I think that the next Secretary General would need to be a hands-on Secretary General. Somebody asked me back in the General Assembly, why do they think that I'm a good person for the country and good person for the job? I said, listen, if you believe that this organization is moving in the right direction and at the right speed, if you believe that there is no need to change the way things are done here, then I'm not your guy. If you believe that things need to be changed, well, here's how I propose that we do it together. There are 53 concrete commitments that I make in my platform. It's not a conclusive list. It's an invitation to dialogue with member states first and foremost. So I'd be happy to work with the member states to expand this list, to shrink this list if they insist. But I do think that this election need to be about the competition of various ideas. Well, here is the set of ideas that I've prepared and that I'd be happy to discuss in the months to come.
Evelyn?
Oh, sorry.
Well, if you could state your name and your
Evelyn Leopold, Huffington Post contributor. Welcome back. That was quite a spirited question and answer in there, your answers. I have two questions on panels you had while you were president of the General Assembly. One on the ICC, another on responsibility to protect. In both of them, lots of diplomats thought you balanced, you had speakers that were leaning to the negative and didn't balance the panels. So I wondered what you thought of those two topics.
I think it was also one of the questions raised in the General Assembly, not so directly, but I did choose to address it because I think it's important that this is well understood where I stand on it. I think first and foremost that the issue of international criminal justice is one of the critical issues that the international community at large and the UN and the Secretary General as part of the UN will need to deal with in the coming years and decades. And I think that international criminal justice, that we need to find ways to enhance international criminal justice. My thematic debate back in 2012 was an attempt to strengthen it through a conversation. I might not have done the best job in reaching out and explaining, now with the benefit of hindsight, so that the discussion ended up being more inclusive. But the intention was the same that I have today, to strengthen the international criminal justice as one of the key tools at the disposal of this organization and humanity at large. And when it comes to responsibility to protect, I think I'm taking it very, very seriously in several places in the platform. And one of the elements in my list of human rights is creating a specialized interagency task force to that end that would involve, for example, the advisor on the responsibility to protect. I intend to chair this task force monthly, and the idea of this task force would be to strengthen early warning systems of the United Nations so that a cry of never again finally becomes assured in the 21st century.
Sure. Thanks a lot, and welcome back. You were talking about Matthew Lee, Inner City Press. You were talking about the need for reform, and I'm sure you've heard of the indictment of previous PGA John Ash, of several business individuals that were seemingly buying documents and events inside the UN. So I wanted to know, especially that you were PGA before, what steps, if you became Secretary General, would you take to try to root out this ability of people to sort of buy their way in? When you were PGA, did you experience any of these attempts to buy in? What did you think of them? And will you disclose your campaign finance? Is the government putting money into it? Is anyone else putting money into it? And will you disclose it, as Vuk and I think Danilo Turk have both committed to do? Thanks.
Well, fighting corruption is actually one of the things that I intend to take very, very seriously, and hence I make some very concrete public and written commitments in my platform. So there are several issues there are several ideas that I have. This is, as I said, not necessarily a conclusive list, but actually protecting internal whistleblowers, asking for a public disclosure for senior officials, which is right now optional, and I believe it shouldn't be optional, is something that I intend to do. I believe that the Office of the Internal Oversight needs to be substantially enhanced and strengthened, and I intend to work with the member states, of course, with the Fifth Committee in particular, to make it happen. But I also think that it needs to be more independent. I intend to lead the most transparent UN administration in history. That is my hope. I will have to work hard with member states and with people who are already in this organization, some of which are exceptional individuals of highest possible integrity, whom I deeply respect. But this is going to be one of my tasks. And when it comes to campaign financing, the campaign, for a number of reasons, started only yesterday. And I wish it was possible to start it earlier, but I intend actually to fundraise in a transparent way. I do not intend to take money from governments, including my government. I intend to fundraise like people do when they run races, and to disclose where the money comes from.
Mr. Jeremic. My name is Nizar Aboud of Al Mayadeen Television in Lebanon. My question is regarding the family. In all this debate, we heard about empowerment of women, girls, separation of individuals in the family, but the role of the family and the mother are absent from all debate in the United Nations in the system for many, many years. There is nothing about, and how that will contribute. If this is reinstated, how will that contribute to the mitigation of the threat of terrorism?
Well, I'm personally a great believer in family and in family values, and you know, I think this is an integral element of harmony in a society. That's my private view. And as a matter of fact, I have to wrap up this conversation because my mother is actually waiting for me, and I was told that she has some observations to make on how did this whole thing come across. But family with a capital F is something that holds a very, very special in my heart.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.